plans that come over this, and that, so we hadn't gotten to the point of doing, to bring that foot forward, because if we.
Well, that's the problem, you know,
But then
you
that's
can't,
screech and fall. And based on the actual violations that were listed there, the, for the code board, it says, the rule is not,
you have to meet,
which is not,
be accountable for it.
and that's when they get access in all of the violations.
Right.
Somehow we better either try to draw some of the motion or something.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, a lot of work.
Because he's going to need time. If he submits the drawings to the city tomorrow, assuming he does that, I assume it's going to take them a while to approve it. Then he's got to start work on it. So even if the soonest he starts work on it, we're looking at the last 30 days. Well, his only issue is he can't begin moving until the plans are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The March 14th meeting is being called to order, and we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Court Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether an alleged violation of the city code has occurred. Decisions made by this quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence and facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with the Roberts Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondents will then present his or her case. Both parties will have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. Board members may question any witness. Comments by the parties must be relevant to the case. Persons wishing to speak will be given an opportunity to do so by the chairman and must address the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of materials submitted by the staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I will ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to stand and be sworn in by the Deputy City Clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Cases will be taken out of will not be taken out of order tonight. We're going to do the violations first, and then we'll move on to the lien reductions. The approval of the minutes for the month of February 14th. Do I have a motion? Has everyone read them? And are there any changes?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Plow? By Mr. Knopke. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No noes, no nays. Okay, first case, please.
First case, case number 172392, City versus April D. and Brian K. Griffin for property located at 6306 East 113th Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 8-102-13B, exterior walls maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Buckland. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Yes, Stephen Buckland with Code and Compliance. This case originated proactively on October 6th, 2017 by myself. The initial inspection noted that there was stained siding on the dormers. It's a second-story house, and siding falling off the west side of the residence. Door hanger was issued with a compliance date of October 13th, 2017. My inspection back it was delayed till November 2nd, revealed no change, and therefore a notice of violation was issued with a compliance date of November 27th. The home was unoccupied, so I posted the notice at the front door of the residence and requested that the city clerk's office post a copy at City Hall and to mail copies, both certified and regular mail, to the listed owner. I received a call from Ms. Griffin, who advised that her son had been in a very serious motorcycle crash and had experienced some significant injuries, and asked for some additional time. They advised that the pressure washing had been accomplished, but the siding had not been repaired as of that date. We moved the date to December 18th. And I've been in contact with the Griffins throughout that time, where they've requested some more time as they continue to assist their son with the healing process from the injuries he sustained. On the 23rd, I went back by there and said the siding has still not been repaired. And at this time, I'd like to submit a photographic evidence of the damage to the side of the residence.
Board will accept.
Shortly thereafter, I returned to the property, actually on March 7th, and observed that the siding has been repaired. And at this time, I would like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Board will accept. You just want a finding?
Yes. Yes, at this point, the property is in compliance. We're just looking for a finding.
Okay. Motion? Do I have a motion? Mr. Lloyd?
Yeah. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland presented to the board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find April D. and Brian K. Griffin in case number 17-2392 to be guilty of violating Section 8-102, subsection 13, subsection B of the City Code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of this hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Newkirk. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? No nays.
The next case is case number 173129, City versus Mohammed F. Abkudir for property located at 11718 North 51st Street, The case is before the board based on the alleged violation of Section 1034 sanitation, keep premises clean. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Buckland. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Steve Buckland with Code Compliance. This case originated proactively on December 5th of 2017. The initial inspection noted overgrown conditions throughout the entire yard. An old TV was at the curb, and tree debris was also in the rear and side yard. A door hanger was issued with a compliance date of December 11th, 2017. My inspection on December 15th revealed that there was no change, and therefore a notice of violation was issued with a compliance date of December 26th. Posted the notice at the front door of the residence, requested that the city clerk's office post a copy at City Hall and to mail copies, both certified and regular mail, to the listed owner. My inspection back on December 30th revealed no change in the overgrown conditions, and I spoke to the resident who advised they had just had a new baby, which makes number 5 for them, so they're fairly busy and they're all fairly young. My understanding also is that this property is not a rental property because there's no money being exchanged for them to live there. It's being provided to them by the owner. Conducted another inspection on January 20th where I've been back and forth, and occasionally I'll catch the resident out there on the streets and have a chat with them. Notice that the garbage count has been set up and that the TV had been removed, but the tree debris remains in the property. On the 22nd of February of this year, I spoke to the resident, Fasir. He advised he would have it cleaned up by the 26th. Went back on the 26th. The tree debris is still present throughout the property. And at this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violations.
Board will accept.
The exhibit number 1 shows the curb and the yard debris. Exhibit number 2 shows the tree debris that's on the south side of the structure, and exhibit 3 shows the tree debris that is in the on the north side. As of this time, there's no change in those conditions as far as what you see in the pictures, and the property remains out of compliance. Have not heard anything from the owner of the property, and so like I say, at this point, the yard is still out of compliance.
You've talked to them?
I've talked to
the 22nd was the last time?
Right, the 22nd was the last time that I talked to Fasir, who was the gentleman that lives there with his family. Like I said, I've seen them a couple of times throughout in that area as I'm doing my rounds, and I have chatted with them about getting it picked up, and it seems that there's a little bit done, and then it stops, and then there may be a little bit more done, and then it stops, but then every time they stop, it seems like more tree debris shows up, or the grasses continue to grow, so they haven't been able to get everything done at one time and maintain it that way.
I'm going to ask you a question that if they came over to City Hall, they could pick it up. When you notify people or any of you notify people of the debris, like trees and limbs and stuff, there's a card that the city has that has pickup dates, when garbage days are, when watering days are, when yard waste is picked up. Do you all give that?
We're not
is that something you could do?
We don't normally have a card that has the specific dates, because depending on the location in the city, dictates what days their garbage pickup is and things like that. Now, we do have a list sent over from Public Works that we're able to pull up by address, and I tell them, okay, for the most part, tree debris or yard debris are Wednesdays. And again, with the tree debris, it's, as the picture showed, it's a fairly large pile. But I also tell them that you can break that up into small limbs. It can go into the garbage can. You don't have to use that one-time annual pickup, but you have to maintain it, and you have to stay on top of it and get the pieces small enough for the guys to pick up. But doing it that way, you can eventually have that debris disappear.
Right.
And
It's the way we all get rid of it.
so at this point, that hasn't happened. And
I appreciate your sharing that with them. Thank you. Any questions?
Just expand on that. Does the owner of the property have to call, or can the tenant, if they're living there, call to have that annual pickup done? Do we know?
I would say
tenant or?
either
Okay.
one could make that
Okay.
call.
Okay.
Because that, I mean, that property has been without a garbage account for a while.
Right.
And like I say, and that was a big thing, that as of January 1st, the garbage account had been set up, so there was some, some positive movement for that.
Well, they should have got their days, notification of days, and I got a card, so I'm just curious.
They do get the regular trash out there, and it goes away.
Okay.
The garbage account was just set up?
Was set up in January, yes. That was part of the notice of violation that was provided, saying that they did not have a garbage count set up. It was some of it an issue when we were looking at hurricane debris that was showing up in that area also.
What about water? Do we know?
Water comes from Tampa.
Oh, okay,
It's-
that
it's-
makes
it's
sense,
out-
and
it's
that's
out,
why I
yeah.
was curious why they have one and not the other, so.
Right.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
have we had any contact with the owner?
I haven't had contact with the owner in probably 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
So
So
the
we had an same property, different issues, where the resident had put that temporary roof over his entranceway, and so there was a stop work order put through. And at that time, the owner did come here to the code board hearing. Now, this time around, we've got the certified letter mailed back, not delivered. So I don't know, he has a Lakeland address. I don't know if he's moved or just decided he doesn't want to pick up his mail.
But it's not a rental.
No, that's that there's not anything, there's no monetary value being exchanged for them to stay there at the property.
It's not one of those, what do they call
One of the
that?
squatter type.
Squatters, yeah.
No, the owner knows they're there. Because he said he was trying to help them out. There's some Syrian refugees.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Buckland.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion? Anyone?
You want?
Okay. Mr. Lloyd?
Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland presented to the board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Mohammed Abudair in case number 173129 to be guilty of violating section 10-34 of the city code and give the respondents until April 11th, 2018 to come into compliance with code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $35 per day shall begin to accrue on the day following the compliance date and continue to accrue until the date the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stats. Any discussion? There being none, a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays.
Next case is case number 173348, City versus Meadowwood Unit 101 LLC for property located at 8015 Peach Drive. The case is before the board based on an alleged violation of section 8-102-13C, roofs duty to maintain. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Jose Silva, Co-Compliance Officer. This case originated December 21st, 2017 during the neighborhood sweep. My inspection at the time revealed that the gutter in front of the residence was damaged and hanging on. At this time, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of January 2nd, 2018. An inspection on January 3rd revealed no change, so I issued a notice of violation with a date of January 28, 2018. No one was home, so I posted a notice at the home as well as City Hall and mailed copies both certified and regular mail to the address. An inspection on February 15th revealed no change. The gutter was still damaged on the front of the residence. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence taken by me February 15th, 2018.
Board will accept.
As of this afternoon, the damage is still present. I was contacted around 2:45 by the property management for that property right there, and they're in the process of getting the gutter repaired.
Okay. Any questions? That sounds good. I hope that they follow through on that.
They should. What happened was they had a change of personnel in the office, so the actual notice sat on the desk of an employee that was no longer there. So they got it at the very last minute when the employee left and said, here, this needs to be taken care of.
Okay. No questions? Thank you, Mr. Silva. Could I get a motion for this case?
Based
Mr.
on the
Stats?
testimony of Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva, presenting case 17-3348, and Meadowwood Unit 101 LLC presented to the board at this hearing, and the documentary evidence received by the board, and make a motion that the board find Meadowwood Unit 101 LLC in case number 17-3348 to be guilty of violating sections 8-102 subsection 13 subsection 3 of the city code, and give the respondents until April 11th to come into compliance with the code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the following day and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lloyd. Any discussion?
Maybe I misheard, but the subsection is 8-102-13C.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said 3 instead of C.
No.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays.
The next case is case number 18-0048, City versus Octavia Shawan and Rio Laney M. Green for property located at 217 South River Hills Drive. The case is before the board based on the alleged violation of Section 8-102-13B, exterior walls, maintaining good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing properly served.
Good evening, Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively on January 3rd of 2018. My inspection at the time revealed the exterior north wall of the residence stained. This time I left a door hanger with a compliance date of January 9th, 2018. My inspection on January 10th, 2018 revealed no change, so I issued a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 4, 2018. No one was home, so I posted the notice at the home as well as City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address. An inspection on February 15th revealed no change. This time I would like to submit photographic evidence taken by me February 15th, one photo showing the north exterior wall stained.
Board will accept.
At this time, there is no change, and the resident still remains out of compliance.
Any,
Mr. Silva, that's on the corner of River Hills and Sunnyside.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It looks like, I go by there multiple times a day. Looks like they left the house. It's abandoned.
Yes, yes, sir. That house has been now unoccupied probably for about 2 months, it appears.
Okay.
It's not in foreclosure yet. There was a foreclosure on it about a year ago, and some mortgage refinancing was done to negotiate it, but it's been, like I said, vacant for about 2 months.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Nopke. Any other questions? Could I, thank you, Mr. Silva. Could I get another motion, please?
Anyone? I'll go then.
Mr. Lloyd,
Sure.
you're in the hot seat.
All right. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva presented to the board at this hearing and the documented evidence received by the board, I make a motion the board find Octavia Shawan Green and Rolania M. Green in case number 18-48, or 0048, excuse me, to be guilty of violating section 8-102 subsection 13 subsection B of the city code, and give the respondents until April 11th, 2018 to come into compliance. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the day following the compliance date and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property's been brought into compliance.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Newkirk. Any comments? There being none? A vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays.
The next case is case number 18234, City versus Michael Miranda and Amy Perez for property located at 5301 Rainbow Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 128593, RVs, boats, trailers, non-commercial. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing properly served.
Jose Silva, Co-Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively January 18th of 2018. My inspection revealed a utility trailer parked in the driveway of the residence unscreened from view. This time I left a door hanger with a compliance date of January 19th, 2018. My inspection on January 22nd, 2018 revealed no change, so I issued a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 1st, 2018. I was greeted at the door at the time by a juvenile and asked to speak to the parents. When the parents didn't come to the door, I left the notice there. I posted the notice at City Hall and also mailed both copies, certified and regular mail, to the address. On my inspection on January 5th, 2018, revealed the trailer moved from the driveway of the residence, and the residence was brought into compliance at that time. On February 15th, as I was doing other inspections in the neighborhood, the trailer again was in view on the side yard of the residence. This time I would like to submit photographic evidence of the trailer in the side yard unscreened from view.
The board will accept.
As of this date, Mr. Miranda has come into compliance, and I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Board will accept.
Oh, and if I said the address wrong before, it's 8522 Caladisi Island Drive. May have said the wrong address.
What was the number again? 85225?
8522 Caladisi Island Drive. The address.
Oh,
Yeah, just for the record.
okay. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll
Mr.
go,
Gufke?
excuse me, I'll go for it. Based upon the testimony of Jose Silva presented to the board at this hearing and the documentary evidence received by the board, I'll make a motion that the board find Michael Miranda and Amy Perez in case number 18-0000234. If I got that right, Kristen, I may have gotten one too many zeros in there. To be guilty of violating sections 12-859, parent 3 of the city code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of this hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stats. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, no nays. next case?
The last case of hearings will be case number 18399, City versus Thrasher Investments LLC for property located at 108 Holland Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 104B3 nuisance, any condition or use. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Buckland. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Steve Buckland with Code Compliance. This case originated on January 22nd. There was actually an anonymous complaint in the neighborhood about a dead tree that's located in the northwest side of the rear yard of the location. I contacted the city arborist, Dana Carver, who inspected the tree on January 25th, determined that it was an at-risk tree to the property to the west. The property is under construction/demolition, and therefore a notice of violation was issued with a compliance date of February 28th. I posted the notice at the front door at the residence and requested the city clerks post a copy at City Hall and to mail copies, both certified and regular mail, to the listed owner. My return inspection on February 28th revealed that the tree had not been removed, and this time I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation.
Board will accept.
The tree that we're referencing to is the one that has the red ribbon tied around it. You can see it's a fairly large tree, and it is obviously an issue. At this time, the tree is still standing there, and therefore the property remains out of compliance.
Is this tree on the property that's having construction done, or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the west side of the edge of the property.
Okay.
We also have a representative from Thrasher Investments here.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Buckland before we, okay.
Was he sworn in?
He was not.
Okay.
Please wait till you're sworn in.
Did you stand up?
No.
To be okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Good evening, Board. Matthew
Name.
Castle on behalf of Thrasher Investments. My office is 4016 Henderson Boulevard, Suite I, Tampa. My clients informed me that the tree is scheduled to be removed tomorrow.
It's good.
Yep. So that should be done and hopefully cleared up by tomorrow.
Okay. That's it? That's pretty good.
That's it.
Short and sweet.
Easy day for me.
Yeah, that was my next question. I have a question for Mr. Buckland.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Buckland, do you have any further comment?
No, not on that one.
Mr. Lloyd has a question for you.
You know what I'm going to ask. Permit-
Yes, no,
Permit for that property been pulled yet?
I
For the
do
tree?
not know.
Okay.
That's what I was just going to speak to them about, to make sure that they've got a permit pulled before they start cutting away.
Okay. I believe it's just, as board member stats, we've had these before, it's just a walk-in, so it's not something that they have to go out. You said Mr. Carver's already inspected at the arbor.
Correct.
so it
He's the
should
one that
be-
sent me the email saying that it was an at-risk tree and that it needed to
Perfect.
come down.
Okay,
Should not be a problem.
thanks.
All right. Thank you. Mr.
Now,
Notke.
just a quick question. So and I'm learning here, for a dead tree, you still get a permit?
Yes.
Learn something every day. Thank you.
I thought that was going to be a motion. Could I get a motion, please? Anybody?
I'll go. Yeah, let's get her done. Why not? All right. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Steve Buckland and Mr. Matt Castle presented to the board at this hearing, I make a motion that the board find Thrasher Investments LLC, Elizabeth Thrasher, registered agent, in case number 18-0399, to be guilty of violating section 10-4 subsection B subsection 3 of the city code, and give the respondents until April 11th, 2018. To come in compliance with code sections in question, if the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the date following the compliance date and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Motion is second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays.
And who seconded that? Okay, I will run through unfinished business quickly, and then we'll move on to the lien reductions. Case number 172748, City versus Thrasher Investments LLC for property located at 108 Holland Avenue. An affidavit of noncompliance for section 810213H, 810213C, 104B4A, and 810213M was submitted by Officer Buckland dated February 15th, 2018. Case number 172786, City versus Anthony D.
Not
It was out of compliance. City versus Anthony D. and Marcina L. Bobo for property located at 7501 Okeechobee Court. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. Case number 173269, City versus Timothy L. Madison for property located at 5301 Rainbow Drive. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. And then I have two affidavits of compliance for cases not on the agenda. Case number 171607, City versus Judy Flynn for property located at 6709 Jennifer Drive. An affidavit of compliance was submitted for section 103B and 810213B dated March 6, 2018 by Officer Buckland. And another affidavit of compliance for case number 172830, City versus Resi SFR Sub LLC for 605 West River Drive, submitted by Director Brony for section 810212, dated February 5th. Okay. Lien reductions. We will take the first one on the agenda. Consideration of lien reduction petition for case numbers 160241, 162041, and 172008, City versus Yusuf Ad-Jabari for property located at 104 Mission Hills Avenue. The amount of lien totaled $71,400, and city staff will speak. Director Brony will talk about this.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. Just to clarify your question, sir, on trees, not all trees need a permit. There's protected trees, require a permit. A palm tree, a dead palm tree doesn't require permits. So there are certain trees that we have in the city that don't require a permit, okay? But I don't know what the list is, but I could just tell you that not all dead trees require a permit. You want the list?
Well, actually,
Well, see me tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, actually, I believe it's on our website.
It is.
I believe it is listed on our website.
I thought you were gonna question me as far as a test, but, okay.
I have a lot of oaks around my house, so trust me, I know.
That's right, you're right.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 16-0241, 16-2041, and 17-2008. The City versus Yusuf A.D. Jabari. Property location address is 104 Mission Hills Avenue with a lien amount of $71,400. At this time, I would like to bring up Mr. Jabari's contractor, Ahmad, that will speak on his behalf. The petitioner will come up, present his case, and then I'll come up again and present the city's case. Sir?
Good
Okay. Before you start, I want to talk to my board about, because your case was heard last month and it got
Yes.
rather long.
We're gonna
And
make it very
and-
short.
That's good, because we have new members that weren't
So I
here
have to address
last,
it again?
so
I was hoping to say a few words and that's it.
that's good. I'm for that.
Actually, I comply everything as we spoke as last time about you know.
Name and address, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
interrupted
my name is
you.
Ahmad Qasim. You know, my name is Ahmad Qasim. I live in Wicksport, Tampa, and I have another address, another household, which is Kentucky.
Okay, where you want your mail to go?
You know, either one.
Okay.
When I got into the location, I really the reason I told this man in here, the consumer or the client, I said this cannot be home. You need to be demolished, and that's the reason. And now there is no home. There is no anything in there, and we applied for the permit, and we applied for the new blueprint, and we satisfied the whole thing as far as I know, and that's it. And we looking for production. Hopefully you can be able to make it very small, and the man was been taking advantage that whole time, honestly, and I hope the city understands sometimes when we have somebody like this, we look at his benefit, and hopefully he can be able to start building soon. It's a 4,000 square feet. It's very large. It's not small, and it will be looking good, and I'm looking for to get his
moving on.
production, and to move on it, and to make it to satisfy at least the neighborhood who's been look at that same property for a long time, and it does not look good. Hopefully, I mean, if we can be able to product it, to reduce it to about $1,000. I mean, I understand the city has invested some money for it, for the lien and all that, and I'm hoping he can be able to go on and with it, and go forward.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Lloyd has a question for you.
Yes.
When you were before us last month, and I appreciate you being here tonight again, so that bodes well for the case and so forth.
Thank you.
You had some blueprints.
Yes.
And I don't believe any permits had been pulled or discussed with community development. Has any of that taken place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've gotten all that done, blueprints
Yes,
are
sir.
in, and Ahmad's gone out and signed it?
Everything.
When do you expect to break ground?
I expect as soon as I get the proven the permit, I'm gonna start on it right away.
Okay. Did he give you an idea of when you would be
Before it gets too hot, because I gotta go back to Kentucky.
Yeah. Did he give you an idea of how long that would be for the permits?
I really don't,
Okay.
He
Okay.
didn't give me any time,
All right.
but-
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, I want to discuss one thing right here, because last week we went way long, and we went way afar from what we were here for.
Sure.
And that was, and words came out of my own mouth, so, about the permit and the plans and so forth. And our particular function here is to deal with not with that permit in that situation, because that at one time was covered, and the plans and that. But our deal is with the lien. So that's what our responsibility is, for the lien, for the building walls, the building
Right.
roofs, those liens.
Well, if I may, I respectfully have a different opinion on that, because if we're going to award a reduction of the lien, I want to see what kind of effort's been put forward by the person asking for that, so that the citizens at home, the neighbors, know that if I'm going to offer a lien reduction, that indeed that person is doing the necessary steps. Albeit we're here for the violations, I want to make sure that those things are being done.
I agree with that.
Because the last thing I want to do is sit here and say, I mean, this case has a lump sum repeat violation on here. So there's a dollar amount there that was a repeat. We don't collect that. That puts the repeat violation out of, basically says it's not valid, it doesn't have any
right.
teeth. So I appreciate that, and I don't like to run long, but by the same token, this case is drug on.
Yeah, it's been.
And it's had several come before us on many different times, not just these three cases, but previously, I
Right.
believe. So I'll keep my comments as brief as possible, but I definitely think that to Ahmad's efforts here, citizens out there should see that, because they're the ones complaining when they say, why is this house taking so long? Why are you
I agree,
reducing
I
liens?
I agree.
I agree.
So, okay,
I agree. That's the reason I did the blueprint, because, you know, the city and the neighborhood, they was looking at that, you know, basically condemned home. I cannot be able to call it home, just a few walls in there. And that's the reason we did blueprint, knew the whole 9 yard, and I did not use any of the another blueprint. You know, it'll be 2-story home, brick home all the way around. So it's, hopefully, it's gonna look better and satisfy the neighborhood at least.
We're waiting for that completion date.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Barone?
Yes. Just to update you, because I did speak to the building official this afternoon, he did come to me, just to let you know that 104 Mission Hills was issued a permit late this afternoon. The blueprints, everything is good to go. So I don't want to get too deep into this, but he's satisfied. He just wanted me to tell the board that everything is good to go. Okay, so the city's official is very happy with what he saw.
Very good.
At this time, I'd like to give the city's course and review each case history. All three cases that I'm going to mention, they were all initiated by me, so I'm very familiar with this case. Case number 16-0241 was for exterior walls, window pane glass broken, soffit fascia damage, and yard debris. Case number 16-2041, that was for the roof permit and the interior renovations. Case number 17-2008 was a repeat violation case for exterior walls. The city clerk's cost was $405.78. The city attorney's cost was $135. The code cost was $1,416.84, totaling $1,957.62. Using the lien reduction petition calculation, which is only a guideline for the board, just to remind you, that the score that was given for the speed of the repair was 1 in the length of time of compliance. 2 was given for the degree of effort required to achieve the compliance, and 4 was given for the last one. Maybe I made that, let's say, 1 was for the speed of repair, 2 was for the length of time out of compliance, and 4 was the degree of effort to achieve that compliance. So the total was 7 of a score. The property value for that address, using that in 2016 and 17, the value is $149,032. So the lien amount was $71,400. With the calculation, city's recommendation is $21,290. If we were to use because really it's just a lot right now, just want to make this, that you're aware, the calculation for the lot value is only $40,000. So just to advise the board, with this calculation, this calculator would not work using the land value. So we are going based upon when the violations took place in 2016 and 17. Just make the board aware of that, what I did. If you have any questions for me?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
I know you read off the city cost was about $1,900 there.
right.
There was a repeat violation with a lump sum amount. Is that included in this, just for the record, that's in the $71,400 for the repeat violation?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
believe it was like 2,400, was it?
Yes.
Okay, just for the record, so
Sure.
you know it's part of that.
Sure.
Mr. Knopke?
Again, another educational question here. The property value when the violations occur, now it's just dirt, for lack of a better term over there, and
Right.
a value of about 40,000.
Right.
Has it been the practice of the panel or the board to use the value of when the violation occurred or the current value in the past? Again, just a curiosity question.
Well, this calculation's only been used in the last 2 or 3 months. This
Answers
is
the
This is
question.
new.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes.
Calculation based on just the lot.
40,000. Oh, I see what you're saying. Hold on. I believe it was $5,000 used in the calculation of the lot. Kristen, do you have that information?
It was, and I can pull up the,
'Cause I
yeah,
didn't
it
have-
was 5,000 and some change.
Right.
So the last walls were torn down to bring it into its current compliance state. Is that correct?
I initially put that property in compliance when they were tearing down the walls. So I put it in compliance prior to the wall, the last wall, and I think I told the board many months ago that I made a mistake, and nobody's perfect, but I was trying to put the property in compliance to stop that running fine.
Because
But I
we
re-
had great hopes at the time that there was
That's
going to be
correct.
some construction going on.
That's correct.
Right. Any questions? Any other questions? Do you have anything else, Mr. Tom?
No. That's it?
Thank you. I would like to get a motion.
I mean, I'll make a motion to get the discussion started if you like. And I'll try to
Well,
keep
we
it on
need,
point.
that's, we need a
Yeah,
motion.
Sure. I make a motion that in lien reduction petition provided tonight to the board for property located at 104 Mission Hills Avenue, which covers cases 16-0241, 16-2041, and 17-2008, that the board recommend to city council to accept a reduction to the amount formulated by the lien petition calculator for $21,290.
Second.
Motion by Lloyd, second by Stats. Any discussion?
I'll just, this is a tough one because of the vacant land issue, but as Director Barone stated, the property had issues when the structure was still sitting there. So I find it hard to reward for it being torn down now. So I think we kind of still have to base it off that original assessment value that was there. Otherwise, it's just kind of setting a different type of standard. The problem with the matrix here is it's not perfect, but it's definitely a good guideline to start. I appreciate them getting their plans and moving along, and hope they get their house built, but the property did have issues for years, and I think I'm pretty good with what it's come up with. I think it's pretty fair all the way around, my personal.
And Mr. Chair, that's why I kind of said I differ with you on talking about the other things. I think it's pertinent because I've been vocal about the lien reductions, as we've heard citizens be vocal about the lien reductions. And I think this is an exception to some of the cases we see. The fact that that Ahmad was here today to say that the permits were pulled, it was corroborated by the city. It's basically about a third of what it was, whereas in the past, we were doing 10% of what liens were. I think, albeit it's not perfect, I think it's a great starting point and a precedent that I can support on this board moving forward as well. So this is an exception, and very happy to see it. The neighbors will be happy to see a house built there. And I'm sure, you know, the tenant, the person that's having the house built for them with the children, they were here at the last meeting, will be happy to have a house. So welcome to Temple Terrace.
I agree. The comment that I made about the plans and the permit, we don't issue the permit.
Right.
We respect the permit and that quality of that. And so I just want to go on record is that we made that kind of a contingent for tonight, but it really is not in our preview to do that.
Right.
We like the results of it, however, And I'm going to go along with the 21,000 this evening because of the duration of the time we've been dealing with this case, this property. And not that this is the end of, but we're going to have a vote, and then we will move on from there, and I'll have a few more words after that. Any more discussion? Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? No nays. Okay. Mr. Ahmed? This recommendation will now be scheduled for a final determination by the city council at the subsequent city council meeting, which I think is what,
It will be actually at the April 3rd meeting.
at the April 3rd meeting, so it's pretty close. And I encourage you to attend this meeting, as you will be given an opportunity to speak on the matter by the city council. And if the city council approves the lien reduction petition, you will have 30 days to pay it, or it would revert back to the original lien amount.
Okay, what is the amount right now? I mean, if there
The
is-
amount right now is 21,290.
That's what it was reduced to that.
That's what it was
The full
reduced to.
amount's-
The full amount was 71,400.
So he have to pay $21,000 right up front.
Within 30 days, if it's approved by the council.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but I know that the person very well, actually, and he's gathering his money from overseas, from here, from there, and he tried to, he was not gonna be expected to be that some lump from him, for him as this amount. I mean, even if you move in the motion to some another month or whatever, but the amount, I don't think he's gonna come up with it, because he tried to come up with the down payment to be able to go and build the home,
Right.
And, to me, it just, and I seen it right with him, how he's gonna come up. He has like to come up 20% of what's the value of the home is going to be. And you're looking about, roughly about $320,000, $300,000. So I give it to him for almost, I mean, and it's on a contract and on actually the permit. It's a $300,000 home. It's gonna be very hard for him to come up with this and come up with the others.
Right, but,
But like I said, I mean, I don't know what's another
Yeah, you got it.
option.
Go ahead.
I got a suggestion.
You said he's hired a contractor now, and the contractor's pulled the permits?
Yes.
Okay, the other alternative you could have is, you could build a house, build a project, because he doesn't have to pull a homeowner's permit, so it's not a homestead issue. Go build the project, show us the project, what it's done, come back when the project's finished.
Okay, but but we have a
Well, I'm
problem.
just saying as a,
When you are borrowing money from the bank has to be the first lien holder. I mean, and when you have a property on a lien, the bank, it does not give you the loan.
yeah.
Just
I mean,
if-
there is like, I try to get it in a way to try to figure it out for him before even I come to the board.
Yeah.
And to make a resolution on it, and I could not be able to get anything less as that lien come off.
Just clarity, we're only making a recommendation to city council.
Yes.
So everything that you're telling us, I would strongly urge you go to city council and talk to them, because they're gonna be the ones that either approve or can in any way alter that. So all we're doing is making a recommendation for
I
that amount.
understand.
And so what you're telling us, great opportunity to tell city council.
Yeah, I appreciate
Because
it.
they'll be the ones saying yes or no on the amount. So, not to belabor the point here tonight, but we're just making a simple recommendation based off of what we've seen in your efforts so far.
Thank you.
All right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I almost went ahead of you, but I knew you were gonna say that. But anyway, yes, that's very true. So when you go to the council meeting and you present whatever you want to say, what you just said, plus, and see,
It's just about the amount I'm talking about, because I seen the person how he's, yeah.
that's right. They'll deal with it, one way or another.
Thank you.
Again, we just want to say thanks. Since you've been involved,
Thank you.
progress has been made, so I do want to
Thanks.
commend him
Yeah.
for
Thank you. I
getting it
appreciate
done, so.
Thank you.
I'll just offer another comment. When you do go to city council, make sure, I would recommend that you bring the gentleman and his family that are gonna live in the home. That'll make a bit, you being there is one thing, but them being there will probably make a bigger impression
Thank you.
than just a representative.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, the next lien reduction is for case numbers 10-2154, 16-0257, and 17-1378. And in my email on Monday, I corrected the lien amount, which is $34,375, just to make sure everyone got that. It has also been corrected on the agenda. So this is for the city versus Natalie Anderson for property located at 105 Deer Park Avenue. The amount of lien totaled to $34,375. And Director Brony will give a brief description, and then the petitioner, Vincent Hernandez, will present his petition for this lien reduction.
Just so to clarify something also, that the reason why it's going to be the April 3rd council meeting is I have to do jury duty starting Monday of next week, and it's federal jury duty, and I'll be away for 3 weeks. So the manager would like me to present this to council, the 4 petitioners that are in front of us tonight. So that's why it's the April 3rd. Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Director. At this time, I'd like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 102154, 16-0257, and 17-1378. City versus Natalie Anderson, property location at 105 Deer Park Avenue, with a lien amount of $34,375. At this time, I'd like to bring up Vincent Hernandez. He is the son of Mrs. Anderson. And this 3 violations were all presented by me, so I have good knowledge of this case. I don't think he was sworn in.
He was not.
I just have to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. I was just notified about this. It's
Did
my
you
turn to
give your
talk,
name and
correct?
address, please?
It's I'm Vincent Hernandez, 105 Deer Park Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. I received 3 notices in one day. 2 years later, after, when I was unaware of amounts being incurred on this, because I'm sure you have pictures. This is probably evidence of the tree branch that was down on the ground across my neighbor's yard. I have it in my phone. I have not printed anything. But in my opinion, if a violation it should not exceed a certain amount. Also, I mean, because it's 30, well, I have on this one, because she just modified to 34,000. What I have here is 33,150. To pay for a tree branch that's on the side that I was unaware of, and for 2 years, it's from 2016. Had I known that, it would have been removed. I mean, it's against the tree line of my property. It's actually a tree of my neighbor's. It's an elderly guy who's in a nursing home. He's unable to take care of the property. But it fell over onto my side, is what it is. So I'm responsible for that. And I've took, along with this code violation, there was another issue with a fence being put up, which I didn't know, because it's not the fence in the backyard, it's a front fence. And I was unaware that I had to pull a permit on that. So I was notified to either pull a permit or take it down. So I took it down because I didn't have the money for any of this, you know, to happen. So I took that down and took out some of the stuff, and I was verbally told that, okay, now, I mean, I'm going to be pulled out of compliance, but you see that you can get, you know, all that stuff out of there. Okay. I was unaware that I'm being fined from 2016 to 2018, and for 2 years to not get a single piece of mail or anything, not knowing that it's going to be this amount is a little, you know, obscene. It's an obscene amount for a tree branch, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not opposed for it to be, to not be fined for it, but I am opposed for the dollar amount on that for one little tree branch that's not an eyesore to anybody. As I said, I do have pictures of, you know, the tree there, the tree branch there and not there. And I would gratefully wish for some kind of, I mean, a huge reduction, lien amount for that to be, as well as the amount should not occur, to come up with, I've been struggling trying to pay bills there and everything else, you know, between getting disabled again and having to work nights and do different things. You know, it's been very hard for me, very difficult for one person to pay for bills there. And to have 30 days to pay for something, especially this amount. I mean, any amount would be very difficult for me at this time because I'm having problems trying to pay bills on time, you know. So I would hopefully everybody can understand that in this situation, I mean, I'm not asking for special favors. I'm just asking for, because of the situation and not having any kind of notification all this time, I would assume that it would be a lot lower. If in fact fined at all, but, you know, a lot lower. And as the other gentleman, I mean, a certain amount, this guy can't come up with this, but that's a building issue. This is not a building issue. There was no, there's no danger to the community. There's no eyesore. And it's like half the amount of that. But I mean, I can't afford anything.
Let me
honestly.
ask you a couple of questions.
Yes.
Okay? You've been the owner of the property, or
About 15
Natalie
years.
has been for since 2004?
2004,
Somewhere in
14, a
there.
little over 14 years, yeah.
Somewhere in there. And you had, the first record shows that you had a repeat violation. And then you have you had another one that was noticed on June 28th of 17.
That was for the pod, I believe.
But the case we're dealing with the fines accumulating on is the 160257, which was the tree limb.
Correct.
And in the narrative, it states here that part of the biggest part of the tree limb was taken away, but some rubble was left. And I just have a question. As I was reading this, preparing for the meeting, I'm thinking, with that brush laying there on the ground, there's going to have grass growing through it and stuff, so how would you not notice that, or how did you work around it for a year and a half? Or 2 years?
It's been laying there against the fence line, against the property line, because there's other bushes and trees and stuff
So it
coming
was-
down. And, you know, like I said, I mean, I've had a number of times, a number of issues of expenses of trees on that property coming down onto my thing, or ruining wires. I've had power surges. I had 11,000 in damage at one time. I mean, it's just, I felt bad for the guy, but at the same time, I went back and forth between Tico, you know, who's going to pay for this? And in the end, it's just an aggravating, ongoing thing, and it's just, like I said, I'm having a difficult time just holding on to the house, you know. So to incur all these fees, I mean, it's just an obscene amount, and I don't see how anyway, and especially in 30 days, as well as, I mean, I hope that it could be reduced drastically in this situation, just because it's a tree limb. It's not something that's structural or something, some kind of danger or some kind of eyesore. If Tom might have a picture of that, of that tree limb also, so this way you would see. Like I said, I have it in my phone, but I don't have it in picture form.
That's fine. Anyone have any other questions? Okay. We'll have you back if we need you.
Okay.
Mr. Tom?
Yes. Okay. At this time, I would like to give you the city cost and a description of each violation. Case number 10-2154 was a repeat violation case for unsanitary pool water, which accumulated a fine of $700. In case number 16-2057, this case started with 3 violations, where he installed a fence that he claims is a 6-foot fence in the front yard without a permit, and also a collapsed tree branch. That accumulated a fine of $33,150. In case number 17-1378, this was a pod case that was initiated by Mr. Damian, that was taken over by me, which accumulated a fine of $525. The city clerk's cost was $406.58. The city attorney's fees were $135. And this cost for the code enforcement was $1,516.84, totaling $2,058.42. Using the lien reduction calculation, which is only a guideline for the code board, the score was given as a speed of 2. The length of time out of compliance was given a 4. And the degree of effort required to achieve compliance was given a 2, totaling a 8. The value of the property by the property appraiser was $132,840, with a lien amount of $34,375. The calculation lien reduction is $16,250. Just the things I'd like to add would, Mr. Hernandez says that he wasn't aware of the running fine. When I presented the case for the pod, it was mentioned that about the collapsed tree branch, so he was aware of that. He also signed for the certified mail that was sent out by Kristen Garcia on, I believe, was it for the notice of hearing, or was it for the notice of violation?
For the letter imposing fine for that case you're speaking of.
Okay.
And that was sent on December 19th, 2016.
Right. So he had signed for a certified letter that he received from the city. I'm willing to take any questions by the city, by the code board. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna, for the record, that there was the repeat violation, the lump sums included, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. thank
Yes.
you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Call for a motion? Who do I have? Mr. Stats? All right.
Okay. All right, based on the lien reduction petition by Mr. Vincent Hernandez for Natalie Hernandez and Natalie Anderson on case numbers 10-2154, 16-0257, and 17-1378 for 105 Deer Park Avenue. We make the recommendation, or I make the recommendation to reduce the lien to $16,605.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lloyd. Any discussion?
You know,
I'm-
these are the cases that, you know, we deal with. And, you know, albeit the matrix is not perfect, there's a cost for not staying compliant with city code. And I just think we have to be mindful of that.
Mr. Nopke?
if our costs are, round numbers, $2,100 over the, looks like 7 or 8 years, yet we're doing a lien of 16,000, even though it's been reduced. All right, that just doesn't get to me. I mean, it seems like, and not knowing the situation that y'all have dealt with over the years, it looks to me like, we may be a little aggressive on this one, from my standpoint, just looking at it, and I can't support it at 16,000, even though it was reduced down.
Okay, and if I can, Mr. Newkirk, I'll address.
Mr. Newkirk.
I would just say I agree with Mr. Murphy, because I've been on this board for quite a few years, and I was told several times, we are not a money-producing revenue. We do not produce money here. We try to keep the neighborhood looking nice. It's true, we gotta work fine between people who can afford things and we can't afford things, but still, we're not, we're awful aggressive with this. Don't like the idea we gotta reduce it more, but my own personal opinion, if we're gonna keep the neighborhood looking nice and everything, we're gonna have to give a little more leniency, like Mr. Mack said. I can't support that figure.
And to your point, there's more than just the cost. Obviously, the neighbors having to do with it. I mean, the one fine goes back to 2010, which is 8 years. So it is a fine line. There is no, the argument can be made, well, if the fine's so high, he might vacate the property and it sits there and becomes an eyesore. But by the same token, we have to be mindful of the citizens that live next to it and have to look at it, file the complaints, the time of the complaint, the work of the code board or the code officers. So there is no easy answer with these. And that's why, fortunately, we make the recommendation to city council and they make the final determination. So it's been a battle, and we're seeing more of these now that the economy has turned around. People are buying properties and so forth. This is a different case where he lives there, but it's not an easy one.
One other thing about the costs and stuff like that, they break them down pretty well now. They're a lot better than we got them before. But it also doesn't log necessarily the man hours for how many years and days and trips that code had to go there. And I mean, it logs to an extent, but we've had a case for 6 years. They probably go by that house numerous times a week so there's other costs in it for the city that it's kind of hard to, give an exact total.
And I understand that, but that's also their job, is to go by and check both good neighborhoods or good areas as well as bad. So that's figured in the cost of doing business, the way I look at it. Again, I can't support it at what's been recommended, but.
Well, I find this case kind of boggling. It doesn't fit in this format. It fits more into what we used to do, in my opinion, and that is that this is an owner that is dealing, now the pool was another issue, but that's not what we're dealing here tonight. Was the 33,000 is the big deal. And this wasn't his, it ended up being his problem, and I got the same thing kind of going to happen in my yard if I don't spend some money to help the neighbor take care of a tree. And I think that to go at $16,000 for that violation, even though it could have been cleaned up within the 2 years, and not had $33,000 accruing, that's a problem. And it's a problem that maybe the fine was, what was the fine, Kristen? Do you know what the fine was?
For the 2016?
Yes,
That was $33,150.
But what was the monthly daily fine
The monthly
that was
daily?
accrued to it?
For 16,
I tried to find that today. It's probably something
it
like
was-
$50
it was
a day.
$75 a day.
$75 a day,
$75.
which is in itself, it was, at the time it was set against the property, $75 a day was not a big deal because it could have been taken care of in 2 days. But $75 accruing over 2 years is a lot of money. And it doesn't take the problem away, it doesn't take the violation away, it's just that the money is accumulated, and now we're at this point, and I think he's being honest about finances, and I think that he is a homeowner, he is the owner of the property. I think that we should cut him a little slack.
Mr. Chair.
And I think
Go
that
ahead.
a dollar amount of around $5,000 is probably a lot for him.
That being said, what do I say to the neighbors on my street that had a tree go down that was a grand oak that affected 3 properties, 3 fences on 3 different properties? They had it hauled away, removed, pulled permits to refix the fence, fix the fence, and got all that done in a timely manner because they did not want to be in violation of the city code.
Maybe they can afford to.
So, well, the one person couldn't, the other 2 neighbors helped out because it did fall on, partially on their property. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying that that's the normal case, but,
Right.
you know, to that point. So I think, you know, a motion's been made, if it doesn't pass, we'll
The
have to
only
do
other
another
thing I'll
motion.
say too is we go back to the 16,000 mark with the 5 years in play, it's $8 a day. With what it ends up going down to be. I mean, quick calculation's not perfect, but it comes out to $8 a day. And again, I agree with Mr. Lloyd that the notice was seen, you signed for it. We had another case with the pod case in here. I remember it being brought up then that there was other cases involved with this problem. So it was well documented and aware that it was happening.
Okay. I can't, we're in deliberation, so I can't take any more input. Is that correct?
Unless you
I
have a
believe it
question
is.
of them.
So, are
Motion's
there
been made
any,
and it's been seconded, so we'll vote on it.
Vote.
are there any more comments?
Well, even if, let's say hypothetically that there was 0, if we let him off scot-free, 0, or is he gonna be able to remove the tree anytime soon? It's been there how long?
It's
No,
in,
it's
it's
in
in,
compliance.
it's in compliance.
Oh, it's in compliance?
Yes,
yes.
So he's moved it,
Just-
okay, so the only matter is,
You can't petition unless it is.
oh, I see,
Yeah, the
okay.
lien reduction can't be made
This,
unless it's
this
compliant.
branch that we're talking about is probably about a 15-foot branch.
Yeah.
That's what, we're not talking about a large tree that collapsed and it's been sitting in his front yard. So it's been a branch about 15 feet. Tree law states if it falls onto your property, you're
Right.
required as a homeowner to remove it. And just to add that Mr. Hernandez, I know him about 10 years now. He's done everything that he could or afford to take care of the property. So there is a hardship there, but everything that, I probably had about 40 cases at his property. But every time I asked him to do something, he usually takes care of it. So I just wanted to add that, okay?
Vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
How many, I guess we need to see, count, how many ayes were there?
4? 4, 3. Okay, now I'm going to repeat for you these instructions, if you want to come up to the mic. We're not asking you to speak, I just wanted to relate to you. This recommendation will now be scheduled for a final determination by the city council at the April 3rd meeting. It's a Tuesday night. They start at what, 5:30? 6 p.m.
Here.
Here. And Director Baroni will attend the meeting and present this request. And I encourage you to attend this meeting, as you will be given an opportunity to speak on the matter by the city council. And if the city council approves the lien reduction petition, you would have 30 days to pay it, or it would revert back to the original lien amount. But you go to the meeting and talk to the city council.
Okay, just to understand, what amount is this?
The 16,605.
16. Okay, and then at which time well, obviously I can't afford it. it'd basically be kicking me out of my home that I raised 6 kids out of. I mean, you know,
But-
16,000, what would I be getting incurred? Because I don't have, if I can't pay that, I'd be getting charged, it goes back to the original, then I'm continuing on more fees as well?
No, it'd be that amount, the full amount. But I recommend that you go to the city council and you talk to them, what you're saying to us and whatever else you want to say. And they're going to hear you, and they'll make a decision. Okay?
Okay.
Yes,
They
sir,
can
this is
reduce
all
it,
done
they
copy.
can reduce it, they can reject they can reject our recommendation,
And at which time, that will be April 3rd,
April 3rd.
is when I
yes,
can address all the issues like that.
6 o'clock.
Not at this
Yes.
time.
And if I may, Mr. Hernandez, they've kicked cases back to us on fine amounts several times. So, you know, that's why he's stressing you go to the city council and they, you know, they've sent it back saying, please reevaluate. So that's something that, you know, we're not binding, we're making a recommendation to the city council.
Right. No, I
Right?
understand. I mean, I just want to be able to get a chance to, I mean, plead my case with that, because
That's your time.
you would have to see the pictures of the size of the tree, what, and where it's
might-
located on the property, and, you know, where it is a nuisance to the neighborhood or anything like that, you
Yeah.
know?
You might want to print out your picture if you can.
Yeah, I know.
So present that
I was
to
waiting
them.
behind a lady today. It was crazy.
And you have
Okay.
an advocate, Mr. Barone. that
Yes.
He just, so he's going to be there presenting the cases. That's why it is April 3rd, so that he can be the one presenting it and not somebody else, so.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, the next case, good evening, Tom Barone, Code Compliance. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition requesting case number 17-0869, 16-2515, City versus NCRC Housing Rehab Fund LLC, property location at 5205 East 131st Avenue, with a lien amount of $21,600. At this time, I would like to bring up the Representative David Cronin from NCRC Housing Rehab. Mr. Cronin?
Thank you. Good evening. So I
Name and
represent
address, please.
NCRC.
Excuse me. Name and address, please.
Would you like the address of the property or my address? I'm from Jacksonville.
Yours
5370 Quan Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32205.
and the name again.
David Cronin. Cronin. Can I ask a few questions of you all before I get started? So this new diagram that you have, I feel like I'm coming to a gunfight with a butter knife. Really, I do. I'm shocked, but at whatever this is, because I have a feeling that this gentleman is going to come up and say something in just a second that's going to be around 50% of what this lien reduction was, which wasn't what the discussions were. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about NCRC. I'm a lawyer, but I happen to actually know about this particular fund. And why I thought that this would be a good opportunity for a lien reduction is because of what NCRC is and what they do. And so I worked for Legal Aid. I was the Deputy Director for Community Legal Services of Mid-Florida when NCRC first started this program. So I was with them when they had the public meetings over here in Tampa, Orlando, and actually they had some in Daytona. And what NCRC does is they are a nonprofit organization that goes into communities, purchases homes, rehabs them, and sells them back, quality rehab, to affordable workhouse housing or affordable housing. That's what they do. That is what they strive to do. Now, they just started this plan, and when they started it, and they came in here to Tampa, they hired a contractor, a gentleman that was overall everything. And they purchased a house here, and while they were doing it, they had some issues with one contractor and then another contractor. But their goal is totally nonprofit, no government financing whatsoever in any of these properties, okay? They purchase it, then they turn around and they sell it. If they make any money off of it, it goes back into the fund so they can come back and keep home ownership in your community. That's what their job is, right? That is what this growth fund is. And I have been involved in it for 2 years now, on the side. I'm not their employee. I just came here to do this lien reduction because I know about this group. So I want to tell you a little bit about it. John Taylor, he started off as a community development corporation. What he did is he started off trying to work on housing in low-income communities. That's what he did. Ed Gorman, he's the one that's in charge of this organization. What they've done in order to make sure that this doesn't happen, what happened here, is now they have a new layer of people over this so that they can keep track of all their contractors, because what they were told and what was actually happening here on the ground were two different things, okay? I don't know where the communication went wrong. I can't say because I wasn't a part of that communication. But what I can tell you was that they never had an intent not to do what was correct. What happened was with their feedback wasn't coming to them. So they had no idea what was accruing here, so they couldn't apply assets to this particular house. So now they have Todd Eschenbaum. He is in charge of Florida now for the construction. They have Quinn Sprinkley. He is over Todd. Then they have me as well, and I come in to assist them whenever they need somebody here in Florida. And I grew up here. I grew up in St. Pete. I went to college at USF. I went to law school up in Massachusetts, but I've lived in Florida basically my whole life. And right now I'm in Jacksonville. My grandkids are over here in St. Petersburg. I've worked in Orlando, so I'm not just somebody that's just floating around. I know this area pretty well. This particular problem was a communication problem and not an intent problem. This growth program has purchased houses all over the state of Florida. Currently, they've stopped purchasing houses in the state of Florida until we get this all reorganized and we get these houses taken care of. But this money, if you take this money away, that whatever comes out of this lien won't go back into the growth fund, won't be used to purchase houses for people that need them, for low-income families. They work with people on the mortgage. If you can't purchase the house, you can lease the house, lease to own. So I actually put in what I thought was a non-zero. I didn't say come in and put in a zero. I put a figure on how much I thought it would be worth to do a lien reduction in this case. And I think I put in somewhere around $2,000, which, admitting that yes, we're responsible for whatever happens in the property, but with the understanding that it was very difficult for us to know what's going on when someone is telling you something that isn't actually happening. So I don't have anything else further. I hope that you can consider the lien reduction.
I have a question.
Certainly.
When you went through, I mean, our problems that we have here, other than that the last client, or the last case we had, are contractor issues. I lost this contractor told me this, and so you're an organization that runs statewide, or maybe national, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But when you hire a contractor, you don't just hire a contractor and say, okay, you're in Florida, go to Temple Terrace, we got this house, we want you to fix it. Somebody needs to follow up on that. I mean, you can go on Angie's List and find a contractor.
No, they actually had a layer, and that's what happened is the person that was in charge of overseeing it, they had a gentleman that was overseeing it, and it isn't just in Temple Terrace, he, for whatever reason, didn't do what he was supposed to do, what he was paid to do. And so that's why there's a few problems. That's why they're reorganizing all of Florida. I mean, they've just shut it down. And now they have new people in place. They're going through and making sure that they get everything down. They're getting new contractors. You know, that was pretty tough after the hurricane. And all I can say is, and I'm just here because I'm passionate about the growth program. I come from legal aid. I'm a softie, I guess, or whatever. That's why I came here, not,
Okay.
I mean, I was involved at the beginning, but I've never been their employee. I'm not their employee. They're paying me to come here today, but not massive amounts of money. I just,
Okay,
so,
all right, thank you. Sean?
Yeah, of course. I can tell you're passionate about it.
yeah, it's just.
Now,
it's-
I do have some questions related to the narrative here. It says the house was bought in an online auction. Do you know how much they paid for the house?
No, sir, I honestly don't know how much I'll certainly would love
What
to
on average,
supplement.
would you say, I mean, this is a fund, what on average do you pay for homes, would you say on average? In this area?
Well, it was a foreclosure auction, and so they all vary, but this one, they've lost substantial amount of money on it. I'm not privy to how much they paid for that.
Okay, and it says an estimate of 40 to 45,000, so that's stating that there was gonna be an investment by NCRC of 40 to 45,000 to rehab the property?
They've already, my understanding is they've doubled that.
Okay,
They're
and
gonna
that's why the
go-
price is at 100,000. How many, there's homes in this area you've already sold in CRC, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah. I
Yeah.
know they've sold them in St. Pete and Tampa. I'm just not positive about Temple Terrace.
Okay, and when I read this, I was moved too, so I went on and looked at NCRC.
Yeah.
And it looks like, based on property appraiser records and so forth, you've sold a couple homes for 189,000 in Temple Terrace, and then a few that are in the 33617 for 180,000 and 179,000. Okay, and you say the profits will go back into the fund. What is the percentage of administrative expenses when you say profits? Because I know business, there might be zero profit because you're paying administrators and contractors absorbent amount of fees. Do we know
Yes.
what percentage of profit goes back that the Florida branch has done over the past year? Because, I mean, I'm looking at these homes and I'm going, pretty good margins.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that for the most part, those homes, first, that is why they're reorganizing, because they weren't making money on most of those homes. They were purchasing these homes with the worst repairs. I mean, I walked through a few of them. Now, I didn't walk through them over here in Temple Terrace, so I'm a little bit blind on that. But I walked through them over there in St. Petersburg, and they purchased a house for somewhere around $110,000, and the second floor was completely gone. I mean, we couldn't even walk through that. And when you're buying it on an online auction, I mean, they had this calculation that they were using, and the calculation worked fine in other parts of the country, but it wasn't that successful down here, from my opinion. Now, and that's kind of why they're redoing it. Now, part of what they're doing now, so those prices, first of all, 189,000 is cheap in Washington DC. 189,000 isn't cheap in Florida, as far as I can tell, maybe on the high end of somebody that's a working class individual. But the model is changing down here. The model is definitely changing because they had some difficulty selling the houses. That's what I was trying to relay to you guys, you gentlemen, and let me say that why, when they came in here, they just started purchasing houses. This wasn't anything that they've been doing for years and years and years. It started, I think, late 2015 with public meetings, with different community groups to find out what would be successful. And they came in with a model that they had worked up, and they actually had some, folks that had been doing this on the ground and purchasing things like that. But that particular model, it wasn't as that effective. And what happens is something like this, where they purchase this particular house, I'm sure this gentleman can tell you, there was quite a few huge repairs that had to be made to that house. And, I mean, they're losing their shirt on this one, and someone's gonna get a pretty good house when they're done with it for the amount of, way more than it's actually worth as far as the
Mr.
repair.
I did have one more question, sorry. When you advertise, you talk about low-income homes, And then I noticed on your website, quite a few homes are any income level. What is the difference between a LMI income level and an any income level?
So that, you can actually look on, there's certain areas that are low to moderate income level. And those are in particular neighborhoods, so they have to purchase certain houses in neighborhoods that are LMI neighborhoods.
Okay.
That's a part of the funding. So have you ever heard of CRA? The Community Reinvestment Act?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
just-
got, your website's very detailed. I think you guys have a conference coming up in April in DC. And you do a lot. And I looked at pictures of some of the houses you rehab. Like I said, the question I had is, you know, you're coming in asking for this great lien reduction. I'm
Yeah.
seeing 100,000 is going over, but then I look at current sales of these homes that you've sold or this organization sold that are 189.9, 179.2, and I mean, that's public record, so I'm not pulling those numbers out of a
No.
hat. And so I'm going, pretty good margins, you know?
I
I don't know.
I would definitely be willing to supplement the record with whatever. I don't think they would have a problem with that. I'm not positive that they, you know, that they want to go around and spread their financial, their financial issues that they've had in Florida. But I can tell you that, for the most part, the reason that it stopped purchasing houses now is not because they had a tremendous margin. It's because the houses that they were purchasing, they were losing their shirts on. So now they have something where they have a gentleman there that is going to have boots on the ground, is going to go look at it. They're going to have a contractor set up in place. They're going to have someone that is going to follow that contractor and make sure, so they have layers. But as far as the administrative costs, it was very tight as far as the amount of employees. Now, I don't know how much those employees made because I'm not an employee of them. I've been to their conferences 3 or 4 times. I worked for Legal Aid. That's all I was a fair housing attorney, so.
Mr. Stats?
Yeah, quick question. Is NCRC registered as a nonprofit?
Yes, yes, sir.
With the,
So is the growth fund as well.
okay.
So, you know, they have to follow all of those strict rules on their money.
Okay, thanks.
Mr.
I may have missed this. Where does the money come from?
It comes from banks, and not, it comes from CRA, in other words, the Community Reinvestment Act. The banks have to invest money in low-income neighborhoods, low to moderate-income neighborhoods, in order to meet their requirements under the Banking Act. So that's where the money comes from. And then it went into this fund, and so they have to spend it in certain areas. So, and that is where the banks are.
So
That's why
government-
they purchase.
The government sets it up where the banks have to fund these things. The oversight is lacking, and not to, I'm sure what y'all are trying to do is good.
Yeah.
It just seems like to me this is a setup for some type of home flipping deal that most times you buy low and you sell high, and in this case, y'all bought high and are probably selling low just to get rid of it. Is that?
Well, the difference is that this is a nonprofit that is trying to stabilize neighborhoods. So one of the issues were that they were trying to stabilize is that a lot of investors were coming into our neighborhoods during the foreclosure crisis. They were purchasing homes and then turning them into rentals rather than home ownership. So what NCRC is about is home ownership, maintaining home ownership in America, because that's what strengthens our communities. That's what they believe strengthens our communities. And I believe that too. I'd rather have someone that owns the house than a renter. Not that there's anything, I'm a renter, but, you know, typically someone that owns the house is more invested in that house, is going to take better care of it. So that's what they're trying to do. They're not, that isn't, the people that they were trying to stay away from were those folks that were going in and, you know, not doing a quality rehab. And so now a person gets in there and they have appliances that are just sucking energy and things like that. But I certainly, they would definitely come down here and talk to y'all. I wouldn't have any problem. I told them that I could handle this hearing until I got here, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe it would have been a little bit better to have some of these gentlemen come down and talk to you that would be able to answer Mr. Lloyd's financial issues a lot easier. I'm really just a non-employee that is just very familiar with the organization. That's all I really can add to it. But if anybody has a question and you want to put off this lien until I get you more information, I will gladly get you that information and get it in, a nice, I can put some graphs together or whatever they authorize me.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for that offer.
So at this time, I'd like to give you the city cost and also a brief description of each violation. Before I start, this case, both of these cases were initiated by, back in 2016 and 17 by Omar Cortez, is no longer with the city, so I really don't have much knowledge of this property. But what I can tell you is case number 16-2515 was a minimum housing code for exterior walls that accumulated accrued a fine of $15,900. And case number 17-0869, this was a permit issue for the window replacement and the door replacement, which created a lien of $5,700. So the city clerk's cost was $262.56. The city attorney's was $90, and the code compliance cost was $733.50, totaling $1,086.06. Using the lien reduction petition calculator, which is only a guideline for the council, for the code board, I'm sorry. The score that was given for the speed of the recovery repair was 3, and for the length of time out of compliance was a 1, and the degree of effort required to achieve compliance, and that was a 4. And I base that by Officer Cortez's narratives and what he put into the case. So that's what I came up with, a total score of 8. The value of the property appraiser for that property is $99,867. The amount of the lien is $21,600. The property is worth, so the calculated lien reduction is $12,483. Maybe, Steve, do you have anything you want to add to this property? Steve was the inspector that he submitted the affidavit of compliance back in September of 2017. Now, Steve came on board in August, and he was only here about a month. So, but I don't know if he could add anything.
Yeah, I have one question for Steve. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the question I have is, it states here that the petitioner was the assumed ownership of the property on November 14th of 2016. Is the representative here, was it the NCRC that had the property at that time and it came into compliance quickly?
That when I came on in August, and that was one of the cases that was assigned to me, is when I started looking at it, so it was something that was already accruing a fine at that point. And that's what I was looking at, was that exactly what was the violation, and this particular one was that it was a violation of not having the permits. And from what I understand was that, yes, they were in the midst of changing out contractors, because I noticed that once the contractor was changed out, the permits were pulled, and then things started happening. The doors were put in, the windows were put in, everything started bringing the house back into getting it all sealed up, fixed the holes in the walls and the hole in the garage floor. So there was a significant amount of work that needed to be done when I first came on, and then as soon as the contractor that I believe is the one that's currently still working in there, was one that really got things moving ahead. And that's where I could understand where if they had issues with the contractors and they're being told one thing, but what in fact actually is happening two entirely different things, and that's where I went off of the dates of, okay, when was the permit pulled? Because at that point, the violation had been cleared, and that's when I put it in for the compliance date.
Thank you.
You're
Mr.
As a code compliance officer, how would you rate the property now? Is it,
They've got the property's been cleaned up even after we had some storm debris that was over there. That was it was a simple email. Say, hey, look, you got a couple, we'd like to see some stuff trimmed up. Next thing you know, there was a big trailer in the driveway. They were getting everything cleaned up, picked up, and looking pretty good, moving forward with it. As far as the neighborhood, I have not had any of the neighbors approach me on this property. So it has not been the eyesore that we've had with a few of the other properties that we've been discussing over the past few meetings.
I do have a question for Tom.
Tom? Did anyone else have a question
sir.
for Steve? Okay, thanks, Steve.
I'm asking you since he came on later.
Right.
I noticed in the narrative there was a garbage service that had started on September 2016, and there's still a balance owed for that.
Okay.
Is that, was there somebody ever in that home in 2016, do we know? I know it wasn't yours either, so I'm just trying to see.
I would
if
only
think-
be speculating, and I hate to do that.
Okay.
So I really don't know that answer.
Okay, when I saw the garbage service, that means someone had to go in and apply for garbage service in September 2016.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
Okay, and that 1315 is included in the city's cost, right?
Yes, yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Pam, do you have something you want to add?
I just had a question I wanted to ask you, but
Okay.
privately.
Oh.
Quietly for a
Okay,
minute.
okay.
While they're discussing for a moment. When you're talking about the garbage account, this was something that I was just curious on, that it may have been, if there had been a special trash pickup there for some reason, that whether or not Public Works would have gone ahead and billed for that, even if there wasn't an account set up. They may have put it against, opened it up, and then just put it in arrears right at that time. So I don't know if that's the amount, if there is potentially something that was left by the curb or not.
Okay.
Yeah, it might
Thank
have
you for
been-
that insight.
yeah, That's good.
No, I was just gonna ask, could the balance on the trash been carried over from the prior owner?
Probably.
The date was September 2016, so it would have been dated back for the prior owner.
Contract.
That's why they've had it for that 2-year span there.
Okay.
She's asking a question I asked.
Yeah. Exactly. It's called bureaucracy.
I think we're in recess. Does anyone need a break? 10 minutes? We'll let them have 10 minutes. I know.
Tom,
I'm fine.
I asked
I
that
feel
same
guilty sitting
question.
here
We asked the city council when that was rolled out.
You just got one more case to go.
We did ask that question. It might be in the minutes from one of our meetings in city council. Because I asked the same question.
May I address?
Sure.
Please. Name, please.
I'm new here, obviously, as you know, but I'm looking at this matrix and I'm being told that council approved this. But the questions I was asking is it better to have a total score on line 1 for the homeowner or the property, whoever's responsible for this lien? Is it better for that number to be higher? And I was told, yes, in the calculations, because I didn't stop to do all the math. But in the calculations, it seems that it's better for the person for that number to be higher. And if you look at the first category, speed of repair, You get a higher score the faster you respond. If you exceed expectations, you actually get 4 points. If you only get a limited response, you only get 1 point. Now we go to the second category. If the length of time that it's out of compliance is less than 1 year, for some reason, you're only getting 1 point. But if you've been out of compliance for more than 5, you actually rack up 4 points. So why is this, shouldn't the second category be flipped upside down?
I'll address that.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Mr. Lloyd.
I asked the same question, and I was told it's compartmentalized. And the reason that the higher points are more than 5 years is because it's been a burden to the citizens and the residents for a longer period of time, so therefore they're being redeemed for getting it finally taken care of. Because I asked the same question, to me it should be flipped, and I was told that it was because it had been out of compliance for so long and such an eyesore that we're gonna reward people for getting these long, drawn-out cases completed and done. That's what was given to me. You're the city attorney for the city council, so that was that,
all right.
and that was
I'm just
asked
saying,
in one of our
But if it's
meetings.
that person's fault that it's been out of compliance for more than 5 years,
Well, case in point,
you
you buy,
are rewarding them by giving them 4 whole points for that.
case in point, the previous homeowner went out of compliance. House was sold. It's been sitting there, or it's been sitting vacant for 4 years. Okay, someone comes in and buys it, and they get it compliant, and it's been out of compliance for 5 years, and that person gets it compliant quickly, we want to be able to say thank you. That's why it's compartmentalized. You get a higher score for speed of repair and a higher score for the effort. And
Okay.
that length of time is for the time the property's been out of compliance.
And I understand that that's great in that situation, so it seems like one of the criteria that needs to be discussed here is whose fault was it? Did somebody like these people come in and buy a really bad house and that's been sitting there a long time and get it into compliance? Or was it the homeowner themselves who's been sitting there for 5 years doing nothing? So there seems that there needs to be some discussion as to whose fault it was. And the matrix numbers are, they may apply with someone, these numbers may apply if someone does come in and take a house that's been sitting there out of compliance for 5 years, and now they quickly fix it up. But this matrix is pretty worthless if the person has been responsible for it for 5 years, and finally, on year 6, they do something with it.
And you're saying exactly what I said, and that's where the score in the first box would be a 1 for limited response and a 1 for minimum effort, and that would lower the score, whereas you would give a higher score. As a city attorney, I'd love for you to go back to city council and express that to them and come back to us, because again, this was a tool that was provided and worked up through city council. You know, we didn't even have our own attorney look at it. It's something that was presented to us by city council, because we only make the recommendation to city council. We're not the final binding ruling on that.
So I'm guessing that's why this is only just for guidance purposes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Consistency.
That's the goal. Are we,
I think I had,
we had motion?
I think I'd asked you about the garbage service, and then she asked you, and we were kind of at the point, you read off all the dollar amounts, at least
Okay.
by my notes.
Okay,
Unless
so
Mr.
Officer
Chairman-
Buckland did come up and address,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. And so really, I'll have any questions for me.
Any
All
other
I can tell you,
questions?
really, this petition, this calculation was put together by Councilman Andy Ross and Director Joe Damian at the time, and this was hand-delivered to me. And I'm just surprised that tonight it comes to me at a hearing. And then I believe each homeowner is required to pull a permit. So they knowingly, you know, they know to the fact that they're required to get a permit. So that the hearing, you know, the violations that you're hearing tonight are the homeowner's responsibility or the contractor's responsibility.
contractor, right?
Right, or to pull a
Homeowner.
permit, okay?
Yep.
So-
And if I
and
may,
the-
I believe the city manager had some of the city staff run these numbers as well, the different scenarios that I talked about, the compartmentalization, so we might
Mr.
want to.
Ross ran numerous, but I understand,
And I believe the city manager did as well.
Okay.
And some of the staff members, so he might have some notes as well on that, because
Right.
I'm a numbers guy, and I kind of was like, and then they explained it to me, that's just what the intent would be. The 1 would go to 4, the 3 would go to a 1, it offsets.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But I'd love to have you guys bring something back and what you find.
Yep.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I was asking for something.
Okay.
It might not be in our purview, but.
Yes.
Okay, so back to the case. Quickly, so the permit is not finalized out, they're in the process of getting that finalized, is what I
Right.
read the
That's-
last?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay, but everything else has been done and it just needs a final?
This, Kristen, this was the property with the unfinished inspections?
Yeah.
Yes, there
Okay.
was, the only permit left as of like a week ago was the interior renovation,
Right,
and it
okay.
just needed a final.
I just want to
That
make
was
sure
it.
we're talking about the same.
Okay.
Yes.
file. Okay,
That's it.
yes.
No other questions? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
No other questions? Motion, please.
I've talked enough, I'll let somebody make a motion.
I'm not sure what I would be doing on this one. I figured out the other ones already.
I've never done a lien reduction.
They're easy.
All right, well, for the sake of time, since I did do all the talking, I'll help expedite the process.
You
How's
must
that?
have an idea.
All right. Again, I make a recommendation to city council in case number, for lien reduction petition submitted by NCRC Housing Rehab Fund for property located at 5205 East 131st Avenue, covering cases 16-2515 and 17-0869, that the board utilizes the recommendation presented by code enforcement of $12,483, reduce the lien from $21,600 down to $12,483.
Is there a second by Mr. Newkirk? Any discussion? Okay.
Just quickly, I know we've talked about this one enough. The only thing I would say is the company that's doing it, it's not really the city's or the neighbor's problem that they can't get their act together with the contractors and stuff like that. That's not our issue. This is not a local person that's doing it. This is a multi-million-dollar corporation that's behind all this. So there's pieces in place to run these things. It's not our fault if they haven't hired the right people to run their projects and all that. So my personal opinion would be I would leave it where it is. That's just where I'm at.
And to your point, yeah, I think I had made a recommendation one time not to reduce the lien previously, and don't push me to vote against my own motion, please. It is troubling, especially when you go see the website and you go see what they do. It's noble what they're trying to do, but by the same token, there are banks and local people that are trying to do things to get these things done. They also have another property advertised coming soon in the 33617, so and that's with the city of Tampa. It's over on 47th Street, so I'm sure they're gonna have to go in front of the city of Tampa to do that as well. But I just wanted to get a motion out there for the point of discussion. Because the property because Mr. Buckland testified that things got moving once they got the permitting. The hope is that if we can get this resolved, we can get somebody living in that house, and get it going. So that's the only reason I went against not making a motion. I mean, not reducing it, saying to leave it as it is.
Well, just to piggyback on what you said, I agree with that, and that's the objective here. The only thing I can say is this is a big machine. There's lots of people running this machine. There's lots of people making money on this machine. It's not our responsibility to make sure that they meet their ends meet, on it, so.
No, they should, I mean,
There.
go ahead.
I agree with 100% on that.
Yeah, I mean, they should have better governance.
But
I
we have
mean,
this in place, so I think we ought to go with it.
all right. Thank you,
Right.
Mr. Chair, for the latitude.
And I agree with the reduction to the amount. discussion ended. Could I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No, one nay. The reduction at 12,483 is our recommendation to the city council. And this recommendation will now be scheduled for a final determination by the city council at a subsequent city council meeting, which is April 3rd. Director Baroni will attend this meeting to present the request. I encourage you to attend, or a representative to attend, this meeting, as you will be given an opportunity to speak on the matter by the city council. If the council approves the lien reduction petition, you would have 30 days to pay it, or it would revert back to the original lien amount, being $21,600. Okay?
Can I ask a quick question? Can you argue for a lien reduction at that hearing, or this is just?
You can present your case.
Okay, thank you.
I would strongly urge those, I think questions I asked, Mr. Board Member Ross, or Councilmember Ross, was on this board.
Yes.
So he does read our minutes as well as the other city council members, so they probably will ask for answers to those questions that we posed tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 17-0092, City versus Asset Trust Holdings LLC. Property location address is 6620 Jennifer Drive with a lien amount of $16,250. At this time, I'd like to bring up the representative for Asset Trust Holdings, Mr. Hayden Roble. Mr. Roble?
Hi, good evening. My name is Hayden Roble, 6620 Jennifer Drive, Temple Terrace. I'm asking for a lien reduction from $16,250 down to $2,000. I pulled all the permits during the time that this lien was, the fine was assessed, the lien against the property was during the time that I had the permits pulled, and the permits were still open, and during the time that I was doing the work to the property. I got engineering drawings, I gave them to Amir, I went ahead and pulled the structural permits, I went ahead and got the roof done, I pulled the roofing permit, I went ahead and closed out those permits, I pulled other stuff, and I went ahead and passed the inspections, went through with code enforcement, I went ahead and was on a constant, with Joe Damien, then with Amir, in reference to the property. I've resolved one building lien violation. That one has been resolved and paid. Let's see here. The new violation, maybe miscommunications, unaware of the violation that was taking place while I was doing the work and pulling the permits. I had or oversaw or had no recollection of that permit going on. If it wasn't for the kind people at code enforcement of going ahead and closing it out, it would still be open today. The only reason why I came aware of it is because when we pulled title on the property, it showed the two liens. One that's been satisfied and paid off, and then this new one. And then I tried to go ahead and get on last month's schedule, which they couldn't because it was already booked up and, so that's why I'm asking for a lien reduction from $16,250 down to $2,000. I made that property from a dump in the city of Temple Terrace and put it in and made it a beautiful gem that it is today. So that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
Yeah, I have a question. You said the previous lien was satisfied. Was it satisfied as a result of a lien reduction?
Yes, I believe so.
You know how much that was?
I don't have the paperwork in front of me.
So we granted you a lien reduction and you paid it. Is that correct?
Do you want me to clarify?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a $8,100 lien that was reduced down to $900, but council had postponed it because of violation, it was this, I believe it was termite damage. So it was postponed, and then it was a negotiated lien release, I think, in this past January of 2018, and Wells Fargo paid $2,000 for it to be released.
Wells Fargo paid the lien?
Yes, that was the owner at the time of the lien.
Okay. You answered my question about were there other cases on this property, so I'll ask Tom the next questions on this, if he doesn't have it.
Mr. Stotts?
Did you recently sell the property on 228?
Yes,
So you're no longer the owner?
that is correct.
Then why are we hearing this? He doesn't own the property anymore.
Yeah, but when I tried to argue it, and then I made the comment to the city of Temple Terrace, they says I couldn't get on, I would have to go on to the next one, next meeting.
And maybe the city attorney can clarify, that money should have been escrowed, correct? By a title company?
That's why I was wondering what happened to our lien at the closing.
I'm curious. I just saw it sold.
You know, I don't know what happened, that's it. I was curious when.
So that
the
lien's
paper
probably
was
escrowed
sold.
somewhere, or the title company made a big error, one or the other, not my end of
Well,
it.
even if it's escrowed, and if the previous owner comes back in for a lien reduction, doesn't he still have an argument to go ahead and get the lien reduction?
Technically, it's for
Closing date, sir?
It was back,
228.
yes, that is correct.
Okay. We tried to get on the last agenda, but we couldn't get him on the last code board hearing. So, but at that time, the house was not sold.
I don't, this is a legal thing for me.
Yeah, it's,
That he doesn't own the property at this point in time, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Did the purchaser take this house subject to the lien?
Yes. To the best of my knowledge, I believe so, yes.
Was there money kept in escrow to pay the lien?
I believe to my best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay, so when you sold it, there's $16,250 that you didn't get at the closing because it was kept out by the title company for the lien.
Correct.
Okay, so he's hoping to get
To
his
his $16,000 back.
$16,250.
I just don't know how it works from the city's end.
Right.
Because he's technically not the homeowner today, I don't know how that works for your end.
But he does have an interest in the money,
Okay,
so.
as long as you're okay with it. Outside my realm.
so that means we could be stripping him a check if we've already received the $16,000?
Yeah.
Is that
No,
correct?
it's probably
It's
sitting
held.
in escrow
I'm just,
somewhere.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
in theory,
Yeah.
simple, like I'm a 6-year-old.
That was it for me.
Any other questions?
Minor for Tom.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to give you the city costs in a brief description. Again, this case was handled by Omar Cortez. I don't have much history as far as this property, but case number 17-0092, this was a permit issue plus a minimum housing structural supports, minimum housing interior floors, walls, and ceiling. I think there was an infestation of termites at this property. The compliance with the permit was on February 27th, 2017, and the other two minimum housing violations were brought into compliance by July 17th, 2017. So even though the person pulled a permit, the two other violations still remained out of compliance. That's why it was still continued on until July of 2017. So the city clerk cost is $131.28. The city attorney's fee is $45, and the cost for the code enforcement is $416.67, totaling $592.95. Using the lien reduction petition calculator, which is only a guideline, the score that was given for the speed of repair was a 4, and the length of time out of compliance was a 1. And the degree of effort required to achieve compliance was a 4, giving a total score of 9. The value of the property by property appraiser was based on the year of the violations, which was $169,591, with a lien amount of $16,250. The calculated lien reduction is $250. City staff is here to answer any questions.
Mr. Lloyd?
Couple things. I remember the first lien reduction.
Right.
Because I had similar questions at the time, because he was petitioning a lien reduction with code violations still outstanding, which are these code violations.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. So that being said, that was a whole nother issue. How did we even get to hear the lien reduction
Right.
when the house was not
In compliance.
in compliance with
Right.
our city code violations? Obviously, we've had that answered, and it wasn't done. It was done a different way.
Right.
The second thing I think is there a way to find out a rate chart? Because that attorney fees sound a little low. Hey, do we have a set rate chart on what we're charging? $45, $90? I know
Kristen,
$45 for that first hearing.
for the first hearing. Okay, so we're not charging by the hour, the time to hear it, or talk with city council or staff?
no, it's just the first
Okay,
hearing.
just per hearing?
Right.
Okay. I'm just sorry.
Good question.
Any other questions?
That's, I mean, again, I guess I go back to, maybe, again, you can echo with the city attorney, both with the matrix and now, why are we hearing a case that the person is no longer the owner, or is this something we want to continue to do, and so forth. So though, I think we do need some clarity, Mr. Chair, from some of these things.
Well, I think the answer was that because it wasn't sold by the time of our February meeting, that the hearing was delayed. The lien reduction was delayed till this
But-
month.
So there's two scenarios there. One, why are we hearing lien reductions when there's outstanding code violations on the property?
True.
Two, what is the tenant of the lien reduction, and does it only need to be by the owner? If it doesn't, then we need to probably make sure it's spelled out.
It needs to get,
Yeah, I know. I mean, because if it's on the website saying the owner or the person, that accrued, I mean, we need that cleaned up.
do we get him and then we get the
Because we're
other-
making
the new
assumptions,
owner?
right, we're making assumptions on what ifs and so forth.
Right.
And just one other thing to go back to it, why was the city not given that escrow money? That's the biggest baffling point to me. If that money, it's the city's lien, he should be coming to the city once we've received the funds from escrow to then try to retain those funds. We go today and could become chasing a lot of money all over the place.
I don't know how quickly the title company disperses this money, and I'm not aware of receiving any notice from the title company that it's sitting there.
Well, I think we would have had to give them something as a city saying it's either, had they notified us, they didn't. They just said, we're gonna pay it, and then it'll be escrowed until it's figured out.
Hence my question about the rate matrix for the attorney. Because obviously if it's by the hearing and we've got to go through this whole escrow thing with the title company, it's not by the hearing, it's going to be by the hour.
We're basically, right now, we're giving money away that we don't even have.
That's right.
Yes.
So, and.
The city staff will look into it.
What's that?
The city staff
Yeah,
will,
yeah, I mean,
will
it's
will
just,
look
I've
into
never
it.
seen this one happen, so that's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
And we know this is pre-you, Tom, so that's.
Yeah, no, I
appreciate your patience on
Yeah,
this.
no problem.
This one might be one for.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know who put this statement there, no
To
reduction
refer back to the city.
recommended. Seems like we don't say a thing about that for some reason, so that's why it stays the same.
Yeah, the calculation stays the same.
Yeah. No reductions needed though. We're recommended by
I would-
this, we're
I
not
would
making a reduction.
Kick it back until they get it figured out.
I say we delay it.
Yep.
All right.
There's no reduction recommended.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah,
All right, hold on just a second. Thank you, Mr. Perroni.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mr. Chow, Ms. Chichon. Okay,
I'll make a
Can I
motion.
get a
that-
motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we delay a finding on this lien reduction petition for property located at
6620.
where is it? It's not on here, I can't read it. I'll go here. 6620 Jennifer Drive, regarding case number 17-0092, until we have more information on the escrow and other things on this matter, as well as, so I make, that we don't make a recommendation.
Second.
And it come back before us if possible.
yeah.
any discussion? Okay, a vote? All in
Aye.
favor, aye? No nays? No nays. Mr. Tom Baroni?
Yes, sir.
Director?
Yes, sir.
We're going to turn this one back to you.
Okay.
To have the city figure out where the
Yes, bro?
escrow money is, if it's been paid out to somebody or in somebody else's holdings.
Okay.
So the city doesn't, we don't want to give money we don't have.
Right. I understand. So since, while I'm standing here, under new business,
Yes.
okay, so I'd like to introduce, maybe I shouldn't have to introduce him. Maybe you already know who I'm going to mention, but I'd just like to introduce Doug Allen as our third and final inspector. I now fully have a full staff, and Code Compliance Department, we're up and running, and so I appreciate.
Can we have Mr. Allen come to the mic,
You
please?
want Mr. Allen to say a few words?
Yes.
Really? Okay, well, I wish you luck. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Allen, it's all you.
The key is a few.
Doug
Okay,
Allen, Code
Mr. Allen.
Compliance. I just want to say that it's been a thrill to be here again for another meeting
Name and
on a
address,
different
please.
side of the dais, but,
You can give the name and address.
Name and
oh,
address,
I
please.
thought I said Doug Allen, Code Compliance.
All right. Congratulations, Doug.
Well, thank you, sir.
Proud of you.
Definitely.
You know all the codes now because
Yeah.
when do you get to start presenting?
Probably as soon as I have a violation.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baroni and crew. And thank you, board, for, it's been a busy night. And I want to thank David and Hayden for their attention to the properties here in Temple Terrace. You won't have to go to the city council meeting next month on the 3rd because we're going to have a rehearing, or something's going to happen. We find out about the escrow, and the code board will, the code compliance, the director will bring us back a direction that we can run with. Okay?
I just have one question.
Sure.
Whether the money is in the escrow account at the title company or wherever the money is, let's suppose it's with the courts.
That's what we're going to find
I
out.
know, but let me put it this way, what would it make that big of a difference where the money's being held? Because the homeowners hold their money in bank accounts. So where would, or IRAs or 401ks?
We don't have that money
It's
to,
a legal question for the city.
You don't have that money either, so what difference would it make where that money is? Whereas you're making a decision based on the lien that's there and whether or not you're going to go ahead and make a reduction.
We're actually, we're not making, my motion was, we're not making any recommendation. We're not making any judgment on this. We're sending it back to the city to review it. So those questions you just asked us, welcome to the city. We didn't make a recommendation. We deferred any judgment on your petition.
right.
So I can go in front of the city council and ask them for the same?
No, well, because you're not going to be on the agenda, because we're just deferring an action back to the code enforcement to review. The city attorney will she'll track it down. She'll track down the money. Ownership works.
Do you want to recognize who took Doug's place?
Oh, yes. Well, we did last month,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and he did a
was I not
fine
here last
job.
month? Oh, who took, okay.
And we
He
have
was sitting
we
next
have
to
a
you.
vacancy right now. But we do have, we've received an application which will be on the next council agenda, which is March 20th, Tuesday.
Okay. And that's it, I believe. I did get just for a general conversation between the board members. I did, after our last month's event, had a little bit of discussion with the powers to be about consistency. And tonight our cases were fairly simple on the earlier ones. And we were definitely consistent on the rest of them, but on the first ones, we were fairly consistent with not any ridiculous swings on dollar amounts. And I want to commend you guys for taking that unnotified action. But when we look at liens that get sky high, there's two things involved. And one is when we're assessing a fine, the fine should be relevant to the violation. If the violation is minimal, like some green mold or green on the side of a wall, that's pretty much less harmful to any residents than if the walls are falling down and the soffits are collapsing and the roof, things that can fall and hurt people, different things like that. And if there's more than one violation, then the fine is what we've been doing, assesses it higher. So we just have to be mindful of that. And the other one pretty much took care of itself tonight, with the lien reductions being consistent. And that's all I got to say. Thank you all.
Mr. Chair, just to say, at any time, any of my motions and the dollar amounts, I'll be happy to clarify how I came up with those amounts.
I know, and it's good.
So feel free to ask, whether it's 35 or 50, because 50 is 35 plus 15 on what that is. I don't mind clarifying that.
You do a very good job of that, and I think we'll all, that's one thing we have to try and do is so that everyone's comfortable.
All right.
Can I make one quick comment? I meant to say this up front, and that is that Ms. Garcia she is a great representative of your city.
She is.
Yes, she is, so.
Thank you, Kristen. And you had witnesses, too. Meeting is adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
I took care of that.
Heck with the motion. Let's get us out of here.